Joanna Alexander, and your lovely daughter Poppy, who's with you as well, the reason for being here. So how did you first hear about Nina and Nina's Law?
So I was on Instagram because I try and share stories of positivity, like having a child with a disability with profound complex medical needs doesn't stop having fun. So that's sort of why I sort of set it up, and also to document like how difficult having a child with a disability and actually the fighting and advocating for the council and the Integrated Care Board. And one of the things recently that I've been talking about on my Instagram page, and that was around continuing healthcare, the journey that we've had for that. And then Nina popped up on my algorithm, Nina's Law, and I was like, oh, this is amazing for continuing healthcare to go into the hospital. So we'll carry on the care that's happening in the hospital. When I had a conversation with the Integrated Care Board around continuing healthcare at one of our meetings, after years and years of fighting to get some nighttime support, all of a sudden she turned around and said, oh, the night carers, if Poppy goes into hospital, will be able to go into hospital with her, which was an unusual conversation from the Integrated Care Board because nothing's ever been that easy, and they've not ever been open to anything. So the only reason that I could think of that there's been a shift in the conversation with the Integrated Care Board and they've come up with this idea must be from Nina and Nina's fight that she's had and petition that she's had and having with the Integrated Care Board. Saying that, I'm still sceptical of it actually happening because it's been said by the continuing healthcare nurse assessor, but we haven't been able to experience that because fortunately we haven't been in hospital since. But I have actually mentioned it to the nursing agency and they said that that's something that they would be able to do. So it's then up to the hospital to be able to be open to it as well, and also the Integrated Care Board to actually put it in writing so it does happen.
Tell us a little bit about Poppy.
So Poppy has got cerebral palsy from a birth that didn't go to plan. She has severe complex health needs and profound learning disabilities. She can't communicate verbally, but she's now got an eye gaze machine which she's been using since July and has been able to communicate bits and pieces. So yeah, we're in hospital quite a lot, but recently we've managed to be able to stay out, probably due to the nurse that takes her to school to maintain her airway, which we had to fight for and advocate for. And so her airway is being cleared during the day so she can go to school, and she does love going to school. She can't say much, but she takes in a lot, and she loves being around people and seeing what's going on.
A very smiley face. I think she hasn't stopped smiling since she came in.
Very smiley, but not all the time.
Oh, like all children.
Yes.
Like all children.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you've had a battle for a long time now. And before we started recording, you said about 14 years of
14
battling
years
for the kind of support that you, and of course it's a family need too. It's the need of the child, but the impact that it has on the family as well is just as crucial to consider.
Yeah. So bills still need to be paid. So my husband, his job took priority, and then I had to then step back from my career. Because, so Poppy's the oldest of four, where the other children go to school, it's quite regimented that they go into school and these are the hours that they go into school, and we can get support either side because they don't have after school club, breakfast clubs, etc. But with Poppy, there is no breakfast club for her needs, and there's no after school club for her needs. She has so many hospital appointments, so many hospital admissions. Having a full-time permanent job is not, unfortunately, a reality, or a reality for quite a lot of parents who are in, who've got a severely complex.
And Joanna, you're a nurse.
I am.
Registered nurse. So you
nurse.
have an understanding of how systems work. Has that helped you at all in your campaigning to get the support that's needed, or has it hindered it?
It's definitely helped because I've got an understanding, although I still find it overwhelming. even though I've got an understanding of the NHS sort of management side, and also the nursing side, and how the NHS runs, I still find it overwhelming. So how parents of disabled children or adults who don't have that understanding, how they can navigate the system.
It's bad enough with the condition that your child's got, trying to cope with it. And I think that's why you need the help from other people to help with your child.
It's the navigating, but the people who are there supposed to be helping, so the assessors, so from the council to the integrated care board, they don't necessarily know what's available outside in the community, or how their actual structure and who can be responsible for decision making. So there's a lot of confusion in the organisations. There's quite a high turnaround of staff in the organisations.
So, but you really have to fight for it, don't you?
You have to fight.
You really do.
Fight for it, and then have a look at the assessments, because if you get an assessment, the integrated care board should be giving you a copy of that assessment, but that doesn't always necessarily happen, and then you have to then ask for that assessment, and then they can be quite difficult, and then tell you that you've got to go through the freedom of information, and then when you do get that assessment and you look at it, it doesn't actually reflect your needs, because they don't come out to visit you. So for the integrated care board for children, the assessments were being done behind the scenes, the reports were being collected behind the scenes, and it was only when we were told that Poppy no longer met the needs, bearing in mind her needs have never changed, they've just got more and more as she's got older.
So that's a crucial thing. So assessments and decisions, key decisions are being made, but they haven't actually met Poppy. So it's online or it's on paper.
Yeah.
And they're making decisions about someone's life and their care without actually meeting the individual.
Yeah, and they can make decisions.
As a nurse, can you accept that?
No. We then have to go through the complaints procedure of the integrated care board, which is
a long and faffy job.
And the complaints get closed without.
Really?
Yeah, so the complaints have been closed, and now I've got to go back through the process. And then they say go to the NHS Ombudsman.
But that's exhausting for you.
But it's exhausting on top of everything else.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you still have to do the 24 hours.
Yeah, normal day-to-day
living and live a life rather than an existence.
Gosh.
And it's just very, very frustrating.
What's the situation for Poppy at the moment? What kind of support and care is she receiving now?
So with Poppy, we get 3 nights a week if the nurse is available or don't call in sick. We're in a stable patch in her house, which we haven't ever been in, but it's only since we got an infection in her chest sorted that we had to go to a different hospital to get the right treatment, because local hospitals said that children with disability just live with that infection, but they don't. So we took her to a different hospital.
They just live with that infection?
Yeah.
Without checking to see whether it could be resolved?
Yeah. And it has been resolved because we went to a different hospital.
Were you referred to the hospital, or did you have to make that decision and make it happen yourself?
I drove her to A&E of the Children's Hospital in Bristol.
And they dealt with it?
And they dealt with it, yeah.
Someone else who may not have thought that they could do that, because not everybody knows what they can do, what's allowed, if you like, to be done.
There's a thing called Martha's Law, that and that's second opinion. And if you're not happy, you can ask for a second opinion. But that's only recently come in. But that's the other thing that I've been doing on my Instagram is, as a professional myself and my husband, if somebody wants a second opinion, that is absolutely fine, because doctors and nurses get trained in different areas in the country. Each doctors can have a different idea on a situation, and it's good to have a second opinion to make sure that you're making an informed decision, and is it the correct decision, because it's not my life that I'm having to make decisions on, it's my daughter's life. So I want to know that I'm making the best decision for her for different procedures. But that has gone down not particularly well with some professionals.
They don't like to be questioned. But do you know what? When you make any kind of vital decision, it's a positive thing to have someone else looking at it, perhaps agreeing with your decision or bringing another view to it, something you may not have considered. That can actually be a positive. So that's quite a negative attitude to have, to deny someone the opportunity to make sure that crucial information is the best that's being given.
And it is okay to get a second opinion. It shouldn't be classed as somebody going against what the doctor's saying. You know, as long as the person is not at risk of immediate harm, you do have that leeway period of being able to get a second opinion. So if it's a critical decision that needs to be made there and then it's a bit more difficult getting a second opinion at that stage. But if it's a longer term thing, so one of the examples is the infection she had on her chest. We've been told we need to do an end of life care plan for her because this is what just happens to disabled children. But I knew that she had an infection in her chest, but because she wasn't unwell, as in critically unwell, but her health was deteriorating due to her chest, I ended up getting the sample, going to the GP and saying, this sample, my daughter's unwell, when she had a cold. So it wasn't, because they said that she wasn't unwell enough to send a sample off, but then they sent it off and she did have this infection. And then our local hospital said, no, we don't treat for that.
Just don't.
Because children with disabled children just live with it. It was a first-time infection.
So if it was the first time, then there was a course.
There's a yeah. So, and it's quite a hard infection to get rid of because in a hospital setting or a hospice setting, the children that Poppy's around, they can still pick it up again. So we have had it again, but it got treated straight away again. We went back to Bristol.
How has life been for you and the family? And because you've got other children as well. How has all of this affected the family as a whole?
Well, Poppy's the oldest, so we don't really know any different, and they don't really know any different. They're having to do the end of life care plan. We know that Poppy has a short life, and she's amazing because she shouldn't have made the first 24 hours, and she did. And then she shouldn't have made the first year, and she did. And she should be in a vegetative state with the amount of brain damage that she sustained at birth and the amount of brain mass that she's got. She's got about 5% brain mass. And she is amazing. And she's still here, and she absolutely she does everything. And as a family, we do everything together, so she doesn't get left behind. So we go karting, she goes surfing, she goes sailing, she goes horse riding, she's whatever. Our family's a bit of a circus when we go out, so she gets involved in everything.
But that's incredible, isn't it? And it shows other people what you still can achieve, and it's something we believe in so strongly here. Look at ability, not the disability.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's the big thing. When we're out and about, we do get stares. Yeah,
people are curious,
and if you've got a can-do attitude, then that's brilliant. Most people who do sort of the more extreme stuff have a can-do attitude. We go sailing locally, and they hoist her into the boats.
Does she enjoy that?
So, yes, yeah. I'm not so much. I was brought up by my dad who sailed, and it's not so much fun because I think she's going to plop into the sea. Not plop into the sea, plop into the lake. But yeah, she loves it, and she loves surfing. But again, I don't really enjoy it because I worry that she's going to plop into the sea, and I'm stood in the sea with the suction machine ready to do the suctioning. So and one of the things that we do on Instagram is the suction machine has to go everywhere with us. So it's the adventures of the suction machine and hospital. So we've been up Penny Van, and we walked up Penny Van as a family with a suction machine and the nebulising, doing her nebulizers up on the summit. So yeah, but yeah, it's the constant fighting. Having the carers at the hospital will really relieve some of the stress, and also when you go in to the hospital, the carers won't then go and get another job elsewhere. Then
so you don't
lose them, and then that won't then delay the discharge either. So it will be a shorter time of
so
being
no
in
bed
hospital.
blocking. You can
no bed blocking.
In and out of hospital.
Yeah, go in, get the acute care that you require, and then get back home. And there won't be a delay to get the care package set back up because it would all be running anyway.
So, but surely the nurses on the ward would be more than happy to have her team going in to care for her.
Yeah, well, I think with the children ward, it's a bit different because they expect the parents to stay anyway.
Right.
But we'd be able to leave to be able to get that respite that
Well, yeah,
we
you
also
need to rest, yeah.
But in an adult setting, I can't see any nurse on the unit saying no to additional help, because it is really, really busy. And the needs of patients have gone up since I started 20 years ago. We're used to have more convalescing patients. That doesn't happen now in the hospital. They go home, and
Yeah,
so
of course,
it's more acute. And you see it on the news. So I can't see any nurses turning down additional help to care for their patients.
A lot of nurses have signed my petition. They support it fully. They see the benefit.
The benefits are all round, aren't they? Literally,
Absolutely.
everybody benefits by just something as a simple requirement as a change. And for hospitals, does it come down, Nina, to individual hospitals acknowledging any changes?
Yeah.
Would it be a cross with the government issue? I don't know how it works. Would the government say all hospitals now have to follow this, or would it be down to individual
No,
hospitals
it
and
would be
trusts
all
to
one.
decide for themselves the level of support they offer?
I am saying, please, all hospitals throughout the UK, all of them will allow care to continue in the hospital from the carers. Family members or carers, whoever, will continue to care for them. And that's right across the board. I've got 2 MPs supporting what I'm doing, Will Stone and Dr. Simon Ofra. They're great. They said this is just a must. This needs to go to Parliament. We need to get this changed. It's huge. Seriously, there is so much that can be done, but it just needs to happen. But it's bigger than just the care continuing. It's also, you've got to think about the contracts for the carers that go in, ones that are not family members, ones that are care companies. They need to have it written into their contract. They will continue to care for these people when they go to hospital. So the carers don't lose their work, lose their jobs. They will just continue to care for them when they're in hospital. So it's just a win-win-win.
So for those who want to find out more and keep in touch with what you're doing, Nina, and also your petition, what's the best thing to do?
Go on to change.org, Nina's Law UK. Have a look on there. I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, I'm on all social media platforms. Go on there and please sign my petition. Read why it's so important.
And how are things for you now? What are you actually looking for in particular? What else would you like to see for Poppy and other children in a similar situation, Joanna?
Nina's Law being like the really big change. That would be life-changing to many children and families, and we're going through the transitioning into adulthood. It's one thing that really makes me worried, because at the moment on the children's unit you're just expected to stay, but there is a bed for you to it's geared up for parents to stay with their children. But when you go into adulthood, that is not the case. For example, one thing that we've had the last couple of weeks, when we were in the hospital with my dad, we were told that he was dying, and one of us wanted to stay with him so he wouldn't pass away on his own, and the nurse in charge said that their hospital policy is that no one is allowed to stay overnight in a bay. And we were like, the curtains can be round, and we have just been told about our father going to be dying and imminently, and she said that's hospital policy. And she went off and spoke to apparently the site manager, and they said no.
But he's still alive.
He is still alive, because
Yeah.
he's apparently a Christmas miracle, because this is what the hospital have turned around and said.
What dreadful policy
Get me call the police and get me arrested
for wanting to stay with your father.
to stay, to make sure that he doesn't have a glucose coma. But yeah, so I really worry going into adult. We've had issues on the children's unit where Poppy is sort of like a little time bomb. She can all of a sudden have muscle spasms in her stomach, and then she can projectile vomit out of her nose and her mouth, and then she can aspirate that vomit into her chest, which then will cause aspiration pneumonia. So that's why she needs to have somebody with her to be able to suction her ASAP. And I went to go and get some sandwiches, and I left the door open of the ward, and the nurse said that she'd sit there with her, and I put the monitor on, so then if her sats went down that would all beep. And I came back, and I'd been 10 minutes, and I came back and she was covered in sick, and the door was closed and the monitor was beeping, and it's happened quite a few times where
And the nurse hadn't stayed.
the nurse hadn't stayed, and it's not just one hospital, it's been a few times that we've been in hospital.
So she could have been called to an emergency, she dashes off, and then
She dashes
the patient's
off.
left.
Yeah.
Constant worry, constant concerns.
And so that's going to be exacerbated when we go to adults.
That's why Nina's Law needs to be in place.
The carers know you when you're well, and then will be able to also be able to advocate for you by going, there is something not quite right. This is what she's like normally, or what he's like normally, and something's not quite right. Even if you're in hospital, you still need to be getting out, sitting in a chair. You still need to be mobilising or doing your exercises or your physio to maintain just your basic day-to-day normal life living in hospital. And if you haven't got your carers coming in, there's not going to be anybody getting you out and sitting you in your chair. So you're going to be more susceptible getting chest infections, getting pressure sores, getting tighter in your tone, getting contractures, making sure that you're getting the fluid and the nutrition that you need. So Poppy's on a blended diet, so whatever we eat, we blend that, and Poppy eats that. The hospitals will just go to the medicated food, or they expect the carers or you to do it. They won't do it.
If you're there.
If you're there.
If the carers
So
are allowed to
if the
stay.
carers are allowed to stay, then normal day-to-day living can happen.
Yeah, like for me, I need my food chopped up. I need it in a certain bowl. I need to drink out of a certain cup, like this. But I'm sure I'm not one of few. I'm one of many.
So Nina's Law needs to progress, and just remind us how many signatures you've got so far.
45,571. Yeah, we need to get to the halfway mark, which is a big thing, to the 75,000, then to 100,000. This needs to get to Parliament. And I want to get national. I'm desperate to get this national. The Sun have already said, you get on Lorraine or get on GMB, we will cover it straight away. And so
It's really awful, isn't it? You've got to get onto national TV before we'll take an interest in a crucial story. So being in the media, that is quite crazy, really.
But social media might be my only way forward now.
Disability is not just to a region.
Shirley's been brilliant. You guys have been brilliant right from the beginning, helping me get to where I am now. Seriously, I'm like so grateful. And it's always brought me more support, and that's for you, through you guys. Swindon 105.5. Been great, really supportive of what I'm doing.
So please go check out Nina's Law, and let's make sure that we can bring about change before too long.
Because one of the things that people probably might not feel it's relevant to them, but it's relevant to everybody, because anybody can become disabled or have increased health needs that require extra help and support.
Absolutely.
So since I've had Poppy, more so now, but people go, oh, well, why would we need? So when we were brought into the school, and they were having some work done, and I said, we need some flush thresholds here. And she said, why would anybody come here in a wheelchair? And I was like, but what happens if a staff member becomes in an accident, or a child breaks a leg and needs to be in a wheelchair?
Yeah.
What about the parents who come to the school whose child isn't disabled but they are in their wheelchair? So I said, it's really short-sighted. I said, that is why, because you never know when you might become disabled.